Welcome to Content Beyond the Basics. We're going to talk about a few things. There's a few specific things that I'm going to cover, and then we're going to have lots of time for you guys to ask questions about your specific instances. Basically, I'm going to show you how to make modules, how to change the titles, add module descriptions, and really craft out that content area. I'm also going to show you how to create an HTML page, which some of you might opt to do instead of uploading documents. And also how to, quote, insert stuff, which you'll hear a lot, including like audio and video, into your content area. Most of you, you guys all said that you're not brand new to D2L Brightspace, which is great. So you've probably seen something like this with the nav bar already. And so to get to content, you're just going to click right on content. And then what opens up, so this is important to remember for crafting what you want the students to see. The first time the students come into content, they're going to see this overview page. It doesn't mean that you have to put very much in there, but it is worth knowing. You might consider putting a message or a video or something like that if you want in that overview page, but do not put extra stuff. Like this overview is not where you should put your syllabus. Where you should put your syllabus is the course information module. And this is probably what you guys have already covered with the basics series. Yours is going to look a little different. It's going to look more trimmed down. Your course information module is going to be empty, waiting for you to upload things, right? So this is what it's going to look like. And you are welcome to keep it simple, especially in the beginning. If it's the easiest, process from point A to point B, getting your students that syllabus, if you just upload a document, that's great. Keeping in mind, of course, that PDF is the most universally accessible. And behind that is a Word doc. And after that, it gets a little bit hairy. So I would stick to those two file types as far as uploading your syllabus. But once you have your syllabus uploaded, so say you guys are past that step one and you're like, okay, I want to build out this course. I want to make modules that make sense, and I want to put things in those modules that make sense. Inside of the template that most of you got, you will see these week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. These are empty modules that we have just made for you guys. Actually, you guys probably will only see up to week 3. This was a recent addition. So if you want to basically make the skeleton for your whole module for the whole term, you're just going to add those modules and keep with the same naming protocol. And all I did was type in my module name and press enter. And then it opens up on the right. And once it opens up, there's a lot of stuff that I can do. If I misspelled something, I can click right on the text and rename it. Right? And also, if I look in this drop-down box, I can edit title that way as well. And the rest of this, I wouldn't really worry about default path, set all completion, anything like that for now. That's really like level 5 D2L Brightspace use. But you might want to add a little blurb about what students might expect in that module, because the module is basically a representation of that week. So, what would you say? Something like, So to add a description, we are going to click right on add a description. And then that's where you put your message. Welcome to week 5. This week we will cover, something like that. And then once you do that, that'll be at the front and center of that module when they open it. I'm actually going to remove this since this is a shared shell, and I'm going to scooch over to my other one that is not shared that I can make a big mess in if I want. So inside of my module, we'll just make Test module. So inside of my module, I click on add a description, and once again, that's where I add that text, welcome message and info. Inside of here, I also have some pretty cool formatting options. You know, you've got the typical kind of bold, italicize, some other strike through. I don't know why you would use that. However, this is also a place that you can insert a photo or insert a link. Maybe on the week 1 module, you want to make sure that they have visited the course information module. So you might put something like, welcome to week 1. Please take a moment to review the course information module. And you can turn this into a link to that. So I highlight my text, I click on this chain link, which is kind of universal quick link, and then I have a big old menu. And so like this message is telling them to go to the a course information module inside of D2L. But if I wanted to take them to somewhere outside of D2L, I can actually just put in a classic kind of quick link URL in here as well. Or if I have like a syllabus quiz or something, I can have it linked to the syllabus quiz. But for here, I go to content, course information, and then I would just click the first item in that. So it would open up the first item of that module I want them to view. And you see how it turned blue? That's kind of the universal, I'm a link now signal. And then I would just, once I'm done, I would click update. Sorry, let me go over how to put a picture in. If I have, you know, either a decorative or a necessary picture, I can insert it right into that message as well. Find something really benign here. Zoom host controls. You will see this prompt. This prompt is something important to consider now that you guys are online. Alternative text is something that it's necessary for every non-decorative image, because we have some folks using screen reader accessibility software, and this is going to be the only way that they can experience that photo, right? So your alternative text should be something meaningful, describing what the photo is. So I would say, picture of manage participants view in Zoom with controls, right? And then it inserts that image. There's another option called insert stuff. I'm going to get to that in a minute because it's kind of a big deal. But you also might see how small this box is. You can always expand it and kind of work in the expanded view. But make sure before you click update, if you are in the expanded view, before you click update, you just go back to the small, because there's this weird glitch with D2L that if you don't, you lose your scroll bar. And it's just one of those weird things. So just always bring it back down and then update here. And then your scroll bar is there. So that's the basics with how to make a module, how to change the module title, and how to add a description. So now let's talk about what to put in these modules. I think most of you probably are already planning on putting handouts and worksheets, or like anything that you already have in document form. You can go to Upload Create and Upload Files. And then you would select My Computer and then just go in search of those files. I'm just going to pick any old PDF here. And then once you upload it, you'll see it as a line item right here. And it tells you that it's a PDF document. And you'll start to get used to different things being labeled differently. So let me show you what I mean. This says PDF document. I know that that is an intact document that I uploaded, but you might see, or you might eventually see, something like web page, which is something that you have made inside of D2L. You might also see, let's see if you have discussions that you're using, you can actually add those into the content area for the week that that discussion is taking place. So it can kind of help people. I always refer to the content area as being a roadmap for the students, especially if we put things sequentially and chronologically. So like if they open up their week 1 module, here's my test module. If say this was a week 1 module, hopefully everything that they need to do for week 1 is inside of this module. So depending on what your week activities look like, you might have a whole variety of things in here. Or, depending on what your strategy is with all of this remote business, it's not required of you to use every tool in D2L. So you might just be giving them handouts and then like accepting assignments and doing your web conferencing in one way or another, or like recording your lectures. So it's really up to you guys. There's a lot of flexibility here, but you do have options. So without going too in depth with the other tools, you might use discussions if you want to make up for some of that lost class discussion time. These are asynchronous, as in people will not be talking to each other at the same time. They're basically leaving messages for each other, but it is a cool tool. Assignments is where you're going to create an assignment Dropbox for them to upload their assignments. So say it is week 1, and I already know that I'm going to use the assignments tool. They need to turn something in for week 1. I'm going to make my assignment in the assignments area, and then I'm going to come back into content, and I'm going to put it in week 1 by going to existing activities, assignments, and then I find my assignment. And once I do that, you can see it's quite generic here. Once I do that, it's going to go in line with my other week 1 stuff. And so just circling back to the student experience, they're going to be able to see very clearly like, oh, this is what's happening in week 1. And it can also really help ground the instructor as well, to be able to reference people back. Like that information was in the week 1, that information was in week 2. You can find that handout in whatever. Because it's reliable and it's referential, they can go back and see where they've been. And if you allow it, they can actually see where they're going as well. So let me pause. Does anybody have any questions? I feel like I should have told you guys ahead of time that if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and just ask them, or you can ask them in chat as well. But is everybody, I think everybody's with me so far?
I did have a question. So I could, let's say that I can do discussions for conversations with my students and their discussions, and then I can keep them there, but also link them to whatever week that discussion is supposed to be.
That is exactly right.
Okay. And once I have the discussions created, do I have a way of hiding the ones I don't want them to see yet, or because they can see that discussion from different areas, right? From either from discussions or from week 1 content, right?
Right. So if it's hidden in one place, it's going to be hidden in the other place as well.
Oh, okay.
Without going too in depth into the discussions, you do have options of hiding them until they're ready.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then you can still attach them inside of the week that they belong, with them still being hidden. And then when you're ready to show it, you would just show it through the discussions tab. You would just make it available.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. But if it's hidden there, it'll be hidden here. Let me see if I have an example. Maybe. No, I think none of these are hidden. Basically, you'll see a little eyeball closed if something is.
Yeah, I've seen.
You'll see dates. Yeah, you'll see dates
attached to it.
because it hasn't started yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's content is a good place for them to jump off into whatever activity that they need to do. And they can always go back and like, did I remember to do everything? Let me check my week 1 module, and they can go through and see that they've done everything. Yeah, so that's adding stuff. Does anybody else have a question?
I have one question. This is Lindsay. I took another training and someone recommended that we don't, and this is, I'm just really asking for your opinion, I think here, but someone recommended not to use submodules under like the week 1 module.
Mm-hmm.
It just tends to like cause confusion, or students think that they have completed everything, but they really haven't. Is that anything you've experienced?
I feel like it's a pretty 50-50 mixed bag with modules. Sometimes they're an incredibly helpful way to organize that week.
Yeah. I was
if
thinking
you are
of
someone in a science that has like a lecture and a lab, for instance, some people will, make a submodule.
I was imagining like a Monday through Wednesday, everything in this is due by Wednesday night, and then like a Thursday through Sunday, everything in this is due Sunday night. But I don't want to overcomplicate it if I don't have to.
I think that might be a little tricky.
Okay.
People might not be used to seeing that, even though these are campus students. Many of them probably have gone through D2L, and that might be something new for them.
Okay.
Let me show you what it looks like when there's a submodule. So let me go out and then back in that. So in the table of contents, I do not see the submodule until I click on that module, and then I can see the submodule.
Oh, right.
So here's my test module, and my submodule is at the bottom. Now I can move it up to the top to make sure it's prominent.
Right.
And that goes for all items. You just grab them from these dots.
Yeah, that's
to arrange things.
Cool.
And if you guys notice that
where you can move
up, line is where it's going.
That is great. I didn't understand.
So this is Amy, by the way. I use submodules and my students prefer them. I don't have other assignments in there. What happens when you click on something from my D2L? If I have something that's necessary for a submodule, it's just the submodules. So you would go week 1, day 1, click here. And everything for that day is wrapped in that submodule.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was imagining.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something that I wouldn't like shy away from submodules. You just have to, really always be thinking about that student perspective. And Amy obviously is, and it sounds like you are as well. It's a thing to get used to what a student experience online is going to be. And just like thinking about like me as an online student, I go to content so frequently. And it's so important that it's like organized in a way that I can quickly find what I need. So keeping that in mind, you're welcome to use submodules.
Right.
Can get busy if you have a lot of them. But yeah, it's really your prerogative.
Okay.
Related to that question, what if I just kept like week 1 and I got like 50 activities and students don't know if they've done that yet or that yet?
Sure. That's another thing to keep in mind if you've got a lot going on.
Is there a way for them to check what they've done or what they've visited, or there's no way?
Yes, there is a way. These little check marks appear if it's something that they have visited. And let me see if I can show you the student view. I hope I don't have my content hidden. So like I'm the student and I come into my course for the first time and I'm like, what's this module? I'm going to check this out first. And then I'm going to go to the next page, check that out. And I'll go to the next page, check that out. And now back inside of the, working from home, you can probably hear my kiddo. These check marks appear. And I also have this progress bar. But that's only for things that they've clicked on. So if they've done an assignment, it'll show a check mark. But hopefully they know that they haven't done that assignment yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a tool for them to know, like, what did I miss? They say 3 of 5 topics. What did I miss? I've got to scroll down and like, I haven't looked at this one yet.
Now, is that a standard setting or is that something that I need to set up for that?
Nope, that's standard.
Okay.
So let me just double check my checklist here. So we have created a module, added a title, module description, and then the different types of content I think is going to be the bulk of what we talk about from here on in. So we have talked about so far uploading files, which is pretty straightforward. I think you guys probably have a lot of files, handouts and things that you'll put in there, and that's great. You can also, of course, we talked about adding existing activities. And then there's also the option for you guys to create a page inside of your module. So I want to give the caveat that this is kind of like level 2 D2L Brightspace use. So if at any point what I'm saying, it just makes you like feel cross-eyed, just let it wash over you and you don't have to do this. But it is something that can be helpful for reasons I will explain. So how to create a page that isn't already a document that you've uploaded, a page that you are going to write on. Perhaps you are going to insert a video. Perhaps you are going to have photos and you want them all on one page instead of uploading them individually. You're going to go to Upload, Create, and create a file. You're going to give it a title. Right here, you have the option to hide it from users while you work on it if you'd like. And then down here, it's just going to be processor. So it's going to be, sorry, I'm just getting a little, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, so it's going to be just like a word processor for the most part. You can type lecture notes in or anything. One thing that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of, formatting is something that's going to go a long way with stuff that's online. And if you have existing documents that aren't formatted in an accessible way, no one's like going to require you to do that before spring term. That would be nuts. But it is something to think about. If you're going to be creating new pages, you might as well create them with proper formatting. And by that, I'm going to take a little sidestep over to pcc.edu, and you guys would type /is. Scroll down, and here's this great accessible content jump off. So it explains what accessible content is. And it's really just a way of formatting a document or a page in such a way that will allow screen readers to read it in a meaningful way and allow someone who can't read the screen to be able to navigate it without like a ton of trouble. Because if something isn't formatted properly, it can become an issue for them to navigate around. But again, I mean, we're all rolling with a pretty weird situation. So it's understandable if you guys don't have time to remake your documents. But coming back here, if you scroll down, so here's the basics of if you want to like understand what's going on with formatting. And then if you go to D2L Brightspace, here's the page where you'll see what you should do and when to do it. So like, when should I use a heading 1 versus a heading 2? When should I use a title? All of that is explained here. And this page, I'm going to go back up and show you how I got here one more time. pcc.edu/is. This page has a lot of stuff that you guys would probably be into. But then I go to accessible content. And then I find the D2L Brightspace. And this is going to show me the ins and outs of creating an accessible page inside of D2L. So back inside of D2L, maybe I say lecture title. I'm going to give that one heading 1. And then my subtitle, I'm going to go heading 2. And then after that, I can just stick with paragraph for the bulk of my text. Now, if you have media, If you have videos that you normally, watch in class with students or anything like that, and if they're already online, you can embed them here. And I'm not sure if you guys have all been in touch with the library. They've been sending out some messages about folks using them to find really great content to perhaps supplement some of their lecture time, or if you just need it, to help with some infill. They have a lot of really great resources that are available to you guys. And so say you work with the library and you identify some films from one of their resources called Films on Demand, you can put them inside of your D2L Brightspace page by coming up to here, insert stuff. And then this menu appears and I have tons of options. Films on Demand is a really great resource with like huge amounts of stuff. What's something historical, you guys? Who's like a historical figure? My mind is going blank. John Adams, maybe? Like there's a video on John Adams. There we go. I would click embed. Probably embed small or medium is fine. I'm going to go small. And then it inserts my movie right there, my film right there for them to watch. And it's supposed to do that with the YouTube video as well. I'm going to investigate that a little bit more when I'm not on the clock here. But you could put multiple videos on one page if you wanted to consolidate things a little bit. And the insert stuff, let me back up to that menu because it's like I said, pretty large. And we'll talk about this insert stuff area. So if you want to put on one page, maybe you already know going in, as one of you mentioned, that you've got a bunch of stuff. And if you don't want to have a line item inside of your content area, if someone's like looking at the module and they're like scrolling because there's so much stuff, maybe you want to consolidate that. You can insert things into this page just like you would have otherwise. Don't worry about that message. I keep using the same dummy file. So it's like, are you sure you want to add this file again? Oh yeah. So there's my file that I just put in, and I put example file as the title, but it would go right to that file itself. And so that's one way that you could consolidate things a little bit. If you didn't want to have a bunch of items listed in your module, let's check out some of these other things you can insert. So from your computer, course offering files, I think is like level 4 Brightspace, so I wouldn't worry about that yet. ePortfolio, we don't really utilize yet, but say you guys want to record just a quick video saying, hey, this is what this page is about. You actually have this tool right inside of D2L Video Note. As you can see, videos are removed after 6 months. So I would recommend no permanent messages with this. But if you want to just give them a heads up about the content on this page, you might record a video. And so it's a native video tool that pops up right here. You do only have a 3-minute limit. So it's really just for like an intro or some like basic quick information. And then I can record. Do. Just love that playback. And then I go next. I give it a title, recording, nothing major. And it'll take a minute to load, but it'll basically be a video player just like that with my message. While that is processing, let's look at our other options inside of insert stuff. YouTube, which is misbehaving, unfortunately. Flickr, which I haven't personally used, but if you're a Flickr user, you can insert from Flickr. You can insert a link, just like you would a kind of, any quick link. So here's a link. Link text, we'll say accessibility. Oops. Then it shows up just like that, just like a quick link. You can also use this button for that, so you don't have to use insert stuff for that, but for sake of exploring. Enter embed code. You might have, I'm not sure if anybody here is utilizing any activities from like publishers that you might have access to embed the activity that's on their page inside of D2L. That could be an option. I'd be totally up for exploring it with you if you think that it's an option if you're like using publisher stuff.
Can you tell me what that means? Does that mean like we use it's a program, it's the Superset for the publisher, and they have videos and tutorials and things. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and it's really up to the publisher. It could be them, their stuff is proprietary, right? So they might let you use it outside of their site. They might require everybody go through their site to get it. I have some OER publishing materials that you can share wherever you want. And there's a chance that those places actually provide an embed code. And let me show you what I mean just with classic YouTube. An embed code, what's something not too terrible? Oh, sure, Navy SEALs. Sorry, you guys. Okay. So an embed code is going to be something that basically has HTML pre-built for you. So you can share something. Oh, this is really, really sluggish. But basically it's so you can share something more representative of its original form somewhere else. And this is really taking forever. Sorry, the internet might be struggling, y'all. It's a bit of a concern. Perhaps, if you, how do I explain embed code without showing it? It's really hard without showing it. But it's basically going to, instead of you putting like a link instead of you like sharing this link at the top, you would basically have a video player with the video. And that is from entering an embed code.
Oh, I see.
So for an activity, they would have like pre-built code, like HTML developer code, and you would just copy all of that, and then you go enter embed code. And again, this is that's pretty advanced.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if you are like looking around your stuff, looking around your publisher materials, and at any point you see, embed, if you see a button that says embed, that means that there's an embed code behind that button, and you could actually paste that code into D2L if you wanted. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to, work with you individually on that as well. And so we talked about films on demand. H5P, if you already know about it, I'd be happy to help you with it. But it's basically, it's a tool that it's pretty limited use right now. So I'm going to stay away from that. But there's also My Media. So let me take a quick little bounce over to what is My Media. So this is going to be my like elevator pitch for My Media. If you are interested in recording lectures ahead of time, perhaps to replace that synchronous class time, if you don't want to do web conferencing, you guys do have the option of recording those and then putting them inside of My Media for storage. And then inside of your course, you can insert them so students would go through them just like any other media. And so you just would go insert stuff, my media, after you have uploaded. Wow, my internet's really struggling. The wheel of sorrow. Maybe if I take YouTube off of it. But inside of my media, you can insert videos that you have uploaded into this. Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. My internet seems to be struggling. But you can insert videos that you have uploaded to my media. And you can also record things inside of my media. Let's see. Lindsay. Yeah, no problem, Lindsay. We'll see you later. And Amy, you asked Twitter for video. I'm not sure I follow. Sorry. 3-minute video. Oh, exactly. Right. Yeah. Thanks. That's right. So just circling back to like, what is insert stuff? If you are going to start creating pages, if you want to consolidate some of your items into just one page and start creating pages, you can use that insert stuff to really, liven it up if you want. Add videos and have them all be on one page. So I'm going to save and close. And so, theoretically, I could have 6 different things on one page that I want them to go through in order. And instead of having them listed out on the module, I have them in one page, my test page. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one way to consolidate things. Yeah, Lutgarda, it's really helpful if you've got like lots of stuff and you don't want to, people get a little scroll weary. So, yeah. And honestly, you guys, that's kind of it when it comes to content. Content, if you just remember that it's like really going to be this place of reference for most students, they're going to go back to it often and thinking about like what their experience is going to be trying to find stuff. I think that's the biggest takeaway with how you are going to be using the content area. And it's their map. And, it could be your map too, which is helpful. And that's kind of it. Does anybody have any questions? I see chat.
I do have a question, Kissy. When I did a training with Greg, and he was showing that when we put a page like that, a file like that we have to do. I forgot. Would you mind opening it now? So when I see it, I'll tell you what it.
Opening. So here's my page that I made.
When you go to the formatting, can you go to the format?
Oh yeah, and thank you for bringing that up because I forgot one really important thing. To edit these, you're going to have to go edit HTML.
Okay. Good.
So yeah, so back in here.
Oh, you see where it says browse template? Go up.
Yeah.
He said that we were supposed to do like share files, something.
Well, we do have templates. I have yet, so I'm not entirely clear what you guys have access to, but there are universal templates available. Yeah. You know what? Let me just check because I think that over here. I think this is what he was describing. So browse for template, course offering files. Let's do this together. Course offering files. And then HTML template. So yeah, they have pre-built templates that
there you go.
Fairly certain you guys have access to. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Simple basic.
That have like styling already on them, like the teal. And you can see there's some generic ones that you might want to use. Like, let's look at this one. Actually, I think that might replace what I'm doing. So let me really quick make a new page and then do that template. So back in browse for template, course offering files, I find HTML templates. And then down here, say this is a lecture that I want to type up. So it gives you pre-built stuff. And all of this can be edited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's a great point. It's a good way to maybe, for sure make you're more likely to have something that's accessibly built. But also it's kind of nice. You've got this teal, you've got some color, some a little bit more interesting font than just the paragraph.
One of the options there seemed to be calendar. Does that mean that you can put something on set days or what?
Yeah, let me show you the calendar. The calendar is really just a pre-built table. It's not interactive. It's still just something for them to look at. Let's see, where is that template? Yeah, so this is just like something for them to reference. It's not going to be like
I see.
Or really like talking to any other part of D2L, but you can put, reading. Or reading's up here, but chapter 4, worksheet 1, and definitely make use of this if you'd like to, for sure. And there's a few other templates that you might find useful. We have lecture, we have calendar, there's an instructor info that is pre-built with Robert Redford, which is cute. It's an artifact. I don't know how long ago that was. Well, I mean, it was a while ago for him, but I don't know how long it's been in here for us. And then you've got your lecture one that we looked at, but there's also the syllabus. So this might be something, I'm not sure if you guys have time before, the first day of the term, and I don't want to overwhelm you. But if you wanted to transfer your syllabus from likely what you have, like a Word document, to a file, into, a page, this stuff, there's a lot of really helpful things already in here that you wouldn't have to reproduce. Like once you get down to some PCC things, add and drop, payment, academic integrity, these things are already in here for you.
Oh, well. I wish I would have known that.
Yeah. Everything up top, of course, you'll want to edit for what makes sense to your course. And I'm previewing these. That's why they're popping up that way. But if I wanted to choose it, it would just show up like the others. And I would click inside and edit freely.
So if I have a syllabus already, I can go and cut and paste into here, right?
Yes, you can. When you paste into D2L, make sure you paste as plain text. That way, it won't bring the formatting with it. It will just adopt the formatting that's here already.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great question. Thanks for bringing that up. Any other questions from folks?
Hey, Casey. Prior to this term, I had the widget for class announcements, and they suddenly took that away. I'm wondering, can I go back to that template? I kind of prefer not to have the week 1, week 2, week 3 there.
You were talking about announcements. That makes me think you're thinking of the home page, but there's also then you're referring to specifically the empty modules.
Yeah, I was told in another training that the modules were put in there to help people start their D2L who have never used D2L, and it was a decision made like 2 weeks ago.
You don't need them.
I don't. I'm saying, can I go back to what I had before?
It replaced your content. It replaced your modules.
I think, part of the pencil email, or if you have done something and you had pencils, then some of that stuff was not saved or not well done. And then it was replaced with this week 1, week 2, week 3 thing. And so I stopped touching my D2L, just going, I just kind of want you guys to maybe let me do what I did last term because it's just easier for me?
Absolutely. So let me show you guys how to delete. So say you make a module and you're like, oh, I don't want that at all. Let me show you how to delete it, and then we'll talk about your specific instance, because you're going to have to delete what's in there, the generic stuff that we gave you. And you're like, no, thank you. Sorry about that. But you can delete the generic stuff. You can actually, if you want to delete everything, you would go to table of contents. And let's see. Oh, no, sorry. It's up here. Pardon me. There's a new button to delete all modules. Okay? You could just use this button. Or if you made a module and you're like, oh, I messed up with that module and I don't need it anymore. I moved the things somewhere else. You'll just go up here and delete module. All my hard work. So Amy, you could absolutely just get rid of all the modules, but then we would probably want to re-import your last term into this term.
Oh, I know how to do that. I got that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the you can delete all modules if you don't want them. Sure. And as far as the homepage, if you get your homepage. Oh, I can't say for sure that when you re-import your last term that it will override the current homepage, but it's a pretty easy fix. If you copy your old homepage in, we can simply swap them. And let me double check, since that's kind of like out at, okay, it's cool. It's chat from you. So you can like swap your homepage. You can either actually, just go to course admin. That's the quicker way. Course admin, and then you find home pages in this big old menu. Let's see. I'm looking right past it. I know I am.
On the left, right there.
Ah, yep. See? I knew it was. So Amy, when you re-import your stuff, you'll see yours here. And then you'll just change your home page to whichever other one you want. And
Thank you.
Yeah. So we've got just a couple more minutes before my assignment session. Does anybody have more questions about content? It's, it's as straightforward as whatever you put into it is what you'll get out. It can be super robust or it can be like really straightforward. I think for the sake of spring term, just start slow and, go with it if it makes sense though.
I did have a question that I forgot to ask you before, Casey.
Sure.
If I wanted to, I did a little welcome audio that I put in the getting started area.
Yeah.
What if I wanted to make a copy of that and put it into, say, my week 1?
Okay, so you want it in getting started and in week 1?
But I want it, because when I try to do it, it gives me the option to move it to, but I want it to be in both places.
Sure. So let's see here. How did you record that? Did you record it on your computer and then like upload it?
No, that was actually a recording through a voice thread, I believe.
A voice thread recording. We might have to actually work one-on-one with that, because it depends on like where the file is.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The answer is yes. You can absolutely have it in both places, but I can't say offhand like how to do that unless I know what kind of file it is.
Okay, that's fine.
And yeah, for sake of it's like the last couple minutes, I'm sure you guys already know about our huge mega workshop schedule. It's probably how you got here. So there's that workshop schedule. And you guys hopefully are already familiar with your Instructional Technology Specialist that's at your campus. Well, I mean, not actually at your campus because nobody's at campus, but there's one of us at each campus that you can do one-on-ones with. And so I'm just going to pcc.edu/IS, and then I went to that contact button, and here's each campus ITS. And there I am. And right here is my appointment calendar. And I think that each person kind of has their own setup. to book with them. But yeah, we can do like pretty user specific stuff. Of course, it's a busy time, but there's always room.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end